Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang. The ongoing session is on Bhagavad Gita. We are on chapter 6 and continuing from yesterday's class, we will move on further to the next verse. Before that, let me do my invocations. Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Slokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapada-kramo Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam na Vidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Oh. Yesterday we saw that Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kudastha Vijitendriyaha Yukta Idi Uchyate Yogi Samaloštashma Kanchana. The approach Yuktaha means one who has already attained, not the yoga Arudha, Yoga Arudha, not the Arurukshu. The difference between these two should be always kept in mind. One who is a sadhaka is an Arurukshu, and one who has Jnana Vijnana, who has achieved the Jnana and through Vijnana has achieved, he is a Yuktaha, not a Yogin. Continuing in the same thing where he mentioned that, Krishna mentioned that Samaloštashma Kanchana, the attitude towards the clay, the stone, the gold, etc. He is continuing the same thing in the ninth verse also. Suhrit Mitra Ari Udasina Madhyastha Dveshe Bandhushu Sadhushu Apicha Papeshu Samabuddhir Vishishyate. The prose order is that Suhrit Mitra Ari Udasina Madhyastha Dveshi Bandhushu Sadhushu Apicha Papeshu Yaha Yogi. That is to be taken, that is to be brought in from the previous verse. Samabuddhi Bhavati Saha Vishishyate. Among Suhrit means well-wishers, Mitra means friends, Ari means enemy, Udasina means indifferent, Madhyastha mediators, Dveshi is the despised, Bandhushu relatives or kinsmen, Apicha even among the Sadhushu Papeshu, virtuous and sinful. He who has equal buddhi, ya yogi, ya samabuddhi bhavati. He is distinguished, preeminent, he vishishyate. In the sense that he is superior to the other person, so superior to among yogis itself. So the yogi is a person who has achieved the Jnana Vijnana. He has achieved the Vijnana, the knowledge or the experience or the Aparokshanubhuti. But that alone is not enough. As per Krishna, he is saying that after that, the person should not go into seclusion, sannyasa, or remain out of the world. He has to be part of the world. To emphasize that aspect of the jnani returning back to normal life is what is being brought in by the previous verse and this verse. Previous verse was for inanimate things. Now here he is talking about the animate relationship. Suhrit, one whose heart is fully disposed towards another's good, unrequested goodwill, without request. A person who knows a friend in need is a friend indeed. We say that, no? A person who comes unasked for helping. Not only that, Mitra. Mitra is one bound by mutual agreement or affection. He is not a friend like the Suhrit. Here he is an ally or a person who has mutual agreement or affection. He reciprocates. The earlier one is one who comes without asking. That is the Suhrit. But the Mitra is the person who looks for a reciprocal reaction from the individuals. Now the opposite is Ari. Ari means enemy or a foe who actively works against harming us. Udasina. Then there are the people who are indifferent, who has Uda Asina means setting apart or staying away, one who has taken no side. Madhyastha is the person who comes between the party positions. He is neither a partisan nor indifferent. And Dveshi, one who is to be hated, one who is an object of aversion or the despised one. Bandhu is a relative or a kinsman, one bound by blood or clan or distinct, but he is different from Mitra. He is not, reciprocal in nature, but he is a relative. Sadhushu. Now there is a cassette of Sadhushu and Papeshu. They are not neither coming under the Sadhu, Mitra, Ari, Bandhu, but they are located due to their qualities. Sadhu is one who has accomplished and who has established in Dharma. So therefore he is a Sadhu. Papi is a person who acts against Dharma, who not only does wrongful deeds, but he is also wicked and hurtful in the sense. Ya yogi samabuddhi bhavati saha vishishyate. A person who is having samabuddhi, one who is buddhi is equal, even or undifferentiated. Sama plus buddhi. Sama means equal or equanimous. Buddhi is the way in which we react to these people. Buddhi is not mind. Mind is the place where emotions, feelings and etc. are residing. Whereas the buddhi is the one which is deciding how to react. So samabuddhi is not only analyzing these people as who they are, but reacting to them is decided by the buddhi. So samabuddhi is a person who has no evaluating nature to differentiate between these set of people. 7 people, 7 set is given. Such a yogi who has achieved that jnana vijnana as a knowledge, but at the same time he is also having the what you call samabuddhi. Now this samabuddhi, if you remember, we have earlier heard it is Pandita Samadarshinaha. There was a usage in the one of the earlier verses, which where Krishna has said, Brahmane Gevihastini Shuni Chaipaschopagecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So that aspect, a Samadarshitvam, is reflected here as in the case of a Yoga Yukta. So he is whether he is a yogi or a yukta, we will discuss about it. Now, the word suhrit is warm, unasked for benevolence. Mitra is reciprocal. Ari is a hostility nature or opposition. Udasina is indifferent. Madhyastha is a diplomatic person. Dveshi is one that is repentant. Bandhu is a natural, unchosen obligation due to relationship. Whereas sadhu and papi are said to be taken separately as dharmic and adharmic. Now when Krishna says samabuddhi, samaha buddhi yasya saha, he whose buddhi is sama, equal, even or undistorted, etc. The buddhi here is the faculty of the discernment and valuation. How do we evaluate individuals due to their qualifications or their way in which they react to us? The instrument through which the ego ordinarily differentiates friend from foe, worthy from unworthy, etc. Samabuddhi means this faculty no longer produces differential evaluation, which is reactive in nature from us, in response to the behavior of Suhrit, Mitra, Ari, etc., the categories of people whom we have mentioned. So Krishna says that Vishishyate, Saha Vishishyate, is to be, see the word Vishishyate is a word which should be taken to be distinguished or to excel, to be set apart as superior. And the suffix or prefix V makes it an outstanding distinction. So the Samabuddhi Yogini is not merely good as a natural person, but he surpasses ordinary yogis, the other yogis who are in the practice of sadhana, and is preeminent among the spiritual achievers. This superlative framing is deliberate. Samadarshitvam, which we saw earlier, is in the social field, is presented as the highest mark of spiritual accomplishment. That is why he is called a Pandita. Pandita Samadarshinaha. Whereas Samabuddhi is a person who is sadhaka, who is practicing and he has achieved the Vijnana, but he is not gone back to the society for spreading the knowledge as a teacher or a guru or a Purushan or a person who is to be set as a example in the world, which we have seen. The person should go back to the society so that they follow such wise people in their action, which we saw in the third chapter. The verse is there is a verse. I mean, it doesn't come to my mind. So, Anucharanti. Other people will follow this person because he is a example to be followed. Now, we have to differentiate between when the person goes back into the world, there is a karma appearance, karma chaya for those people, because even though they are akarta internally, externally they are doing the work of an ordinary person. So there is a distinction between samabuddhi and samakriya, which we have to understand. Shankaracharya is absolutely precise on a critical point that prevents misreading of samabuddhi as samakriya. Samabuddhi is equal vision. It does not entitle samakriya, the action in similar action to all. No. Samabuddhi yogi sees the Atman equally in a sadhu and a papi, recognized as the same pure consciousness as the substratum of both. But this does not mean he treats them identically in the practical and ethical domain, because he may still assist the virtuous person in the dharmic enjoys, decline to assist the wicked in the adharmic ones, honor the learned and correct the one who have got mistakes. That means the transactional from the empirical point of view, you cannot make a difference from a Samaritan or a good person and a yogi who has got samabuddhi. What is absent is the reactive disturbance in the andakarana of the samabuddhi yogi. Raga dvesha complex, which ordinarily comes out as a natural reaction in our mind, that is evaluated with the vijnana which the yogi has achieved, so that the buddhi doesn't react to it. That is why it's a non-reactive andakarana. The yukta discriminates at the vyavaharika level. That means at the transactional level, he will see a dharmic person as a dharmic person and a papi as a papi person. And he will do appropriate contextual action response while remaining undisturbed internally, established at the paramarthika level that both of them are Atma Swarupa only. The dharmic person and the adharmic person are Atma Swarupa only, and he will not react internally to the adharmic person, but only thing is he'll become indifferent to that person, and to the dharmic person also he will appreciate the dharmic person, but he will be indifferent from internally. This is the Advaitic resolution of a paradox, an apparent paradox. Conventional discrimination continues. Ultimate non-discrimination is a realization. The jnani lives in both fields, registers simultaneously, which is what makes him not merely good, but a vishishta, distinguished beyond the ordinary virtue person. Very, very, very important aspect. We will learn it more as we proceed further. But what we have to keep it in mind is that the jnana, vijnana is operating at our andakarana level. And at the andakarana level, when this jnana, vijnana brings the equanimity, paramartha darshanayana, by having the realization of the absolute as my nature and the nature of everything. his reaction to the world outside will continue as a normal person. We all have expectations or imagination or idealization of how should a jnani behave, how should a yogi behave, a yukta behave. It is our evaluation. From the point of view of the yukta or the jnani, he is seeing everything which is to be seen in the waking as what waking will appear to him. There is no difference that the waking and the dream and the deep sleep, everything will merge and he will be in a different world. No, that is not what it is. The world continues, the dream continues, the deep sleep continues. In the world, waking world, the differentiation between all these Suhrit, Mitra, Ari, Udabandhu, Udadisena, and Sadhu and Papi, all of them are transactionally happening. He, as an egoistic individual of the waking, is not present because his ego has gone, because his ego has now been replaced with Aham Brahmasmi, that I am Brahman. Otherwise, the ego was on the Antakarana, saying that I am a human being, so and so, with all the adjectives and adverbs or all those qualifications which we can have. But his experience has now turned himself that I am not the human being. I am the consciousness, the Satchidananda Swarupa, Chinmatroham Sadashivam. And as a Sakshi, I am seeing the witness or the waking. In that, what happens is that the waking continues as a Swabhava of the waker. But he is not the waker. That is why he is called Vishishyate. Shankaracharya notes, Krishna does not say Samabuddhi Yogin is good or accomplished. He says he Vishishyate means excels. He is preeminent. And why is this superlative? Because Samabuddhi is relational social domain. In the social domain is the final and most difficult expression of the inner conquest. The Antakarana can be completely eradicated of the ego only when the Samabuddhi is operational. One may achieve Samabuddhi towards inanimate things, saying that, everything is made of mud, so I can see everything as mud, or everything made of gold is gold, and every form of water is water. All those examples, Samabuddhi is easy for us to, appreciate, understand, and practice. But when it comes to the social relational domain, to practice, criticize, to love or harm becomes difficult. But persons with their unpredictable reactions, their capacity to wound or delight, their claims upon one's identity are the ultimate testing ground for the Samabuddhi to be successful. He is not an established Samabuddhi yogi unless he has achieved this in his relational social domain also. The man who is equanimous towards his mother and his mother's murderer, toward the saint who praises him and a sinner who slanders him, is such a person who has achieved the fullest extension of Atma recognition into the relational field. He is distinguished Vishishta. Now, the equanimity towards his mother and the murderer of his mother. At the transactional level, at the empirical level, he will know the mother, and the murderer of his mother doesn't mean that he will behave too indifferently to both. No, he will not have a reaction to the mother's demise, departure, because he knows that na jayate mriyate va kadachit. But at the same time, the murderer who is in the waker experiences, whatever is required to be done to him to be taken under the law will be done. If he has seen the murder, he will give the witness statement, make the statement and everything what is thing. But there is no hatred towards the murderer who has done. That attitude of the relational social domain is the samabuddhi which is being talked about. This can happen only when this ego is not present and the knowledge that everything is Brahman and we are seeing it. The mother is also Atman or Brahman. The murderer is also Atman or Brahman. That doesn't mean that he will not react, he will not, pardon the murderer. Not that way. He will neither react to the mother's death because he knows that Atma never dies. He also knows that the Atma never dies in the case of the murderer. But the whatever actions are happening in the waking, the cremation for the mother will be done and the handing over the murderer to the police will be done. Both will be done without he involving himself internally. That is the fullest extension of Atma recognition in the relational operational world. Now, Shankaracharya would note that the 7 terms are not arbitrary, which Krishna has said. They are chosen to leave no relational gap. Every human being stands in one of these relations to every other. If you actively benefit someone without being asked, you are a suhrit. If you have mutual bond of affection, then you are a mitra. If you actively oppose, then you are an enemy or a foe. If you have no relation at all, then you are an udasina. You stand between the parties. Such a person is a madhyastha. If the other is the object of your aversion, dveshi. If you are bound by blood, he becomes a bandhu. All these things complete the taxonomy of interpersonal orientation. By giving all the 7, Krishna says that in every possible human relationship, the yogi remains the same with the samabuddhi. Now the samabuddhi and the samadrishtitvam, which I discussed, Pandita Samadarshinaha. The deepest Advaitic reading of samabuddhi is not the psychological equanimity, but an ontological vision. The direct perception of Brahman as the substratum of all beings. In the Advaitic framework, the Yukta Yogin, please understand the words Yukta and Yogin. There, the Yukta Yogin is the culmination. The Yukta is the state of a yogi. Yogin is a sadhaka who is achieving to reach the state of Yukta. But when he reaches the state of Yogin, Yuktaha, the Yogin is called a Yukta Yogi. And when he achieves his samadarshitvam, samabuddhitvam, he vishishade among all the sadhakas and all those who have achieved the knowledge of Brahman, but he has not become a samadarshi. Such a person who has achieved the equanimity towards a friend and foe is not achieved by suppressing the natural warmth towards friend and natural aversion towards enemies. There is no suppression. It arises spontaneously from the knowledge which has happened due to the Brahma Sakshatkara. And when Jnani recognizes Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma and Aham Brahmasmi, he simultaneously recognizes that the Suhrit, the Ari, the Sadhu, the Papin, all are Brahman appearing in different names and forms. The differential valuation that the ego applies to these appearances, warmth and hostility, etc., are rooted in the false identification of the pure Atman with particular upadhi in which they are operating, the body-mind complex of each one of them, which makes some of the body-minds as mama, means my side, belonging to the one which I like, and others are the other side, parapaksha, which are not liked by me. So liked and disliked is happening when this false identification is not understood. But when the false identification dissolves, that is when the jnana becomes vijnana. The swapaksha parapaksha division, that is mine and not mine, dissolves with it. There is no longer this differentiation to mamakara and the other side to be defended or advanced. Therefore, there is no enemy, no friend, no bandhu, no suhrit. There is only one Atman appearing in all forms. And that is the vilakshanatva of the upadhis. When the same upadhi, the upadhi is a lakshana. When the upadhi is seen that is depending upon the Atma or the consciousness, Satchidananda, existence consciousness, we call it by names and forms like friend, foe, sadhu, papi, etc. Because of their body-mind complex is what is making them different. But the body-mind complex differentiation is only in the name and form. The substratum or the basis on which their names and forms depend upon is what is called Sat and Chit, existence consciousness. Therefore, once the Vijnana takes place, the Samabuddhi can be achieved naturally. Whether it is sadhu or papi doesn't make a difference. And the social discrimination also from the Suhrit, Ari, etc. All those things are when we are not seeing the substratum Atman as the one on which the body-mind complex or the upadhis of these people are appearing and exhibiting the nature of the upadhis. At the level of Atman or Brahman or the substratum on which their names and forms are being given, they have no differentiation. It is just, we have seen it in the case of gold and ornaments or mud and objects. Now that has to be extended even to the relational at the ego psychological level of my people and not my people. It is not only that the gold, everything is gold, mud, everything is mud, water, everything is water. No. Every living being, every human being, everything what is being, that is the time when Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma will become the Vijnana. And once the Vijnana takes place, thereafter, these distinctions which is depending upon the name form will have no validity or evaluating nature by the Andakarana. Because Andakarana has realized that all of them are nothing but the same. Just as the same gold is seen as the different ornaments, the same Atman or Brahman is seen in the mother and the murder of the mother, the sadhu and the papi, the suhrit and the mitra and all of them. Once that is achieved, that is the time when the Samadarshit or Samabuddhi will make us realize that Chinmatroham Sadashiva. I am also that Chit alone and always consciousness. That is the culmination. So Krishna has now taken us from the karma to karma yoga to karma sannyasa to the state which we as a arurukshu or one who is wanting to become aruda or yuktaha. What is the method? What are the qualities of it? And how he will be after achieving reacting in the entire world. So we have the full picture of the teaching now in our mind. There should not be any doubt on this aspect of it. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma, when Kodasta Vijendriyaha Samaloshtasma Kanchana, one who sees the inanimate things, and then Samabuddhi across the relational type, and Samabuddhi towards Sadhu and Papi even at the operational level, because Sadhu and Papi are in operational level. And now he is standing as a Yukta, accomplished, as Vishishyate, as a preeminent person to be emanated by others. So the entire move from inside to outside and culminate in a superlative declaration. The one who carries the equanimity to the full social moral field is the most distinguished among the yogis or jnanis. Vishishit, he is the one who is. Now having completed up to here, the natural question which can come in the mind of all of us will be, Krishna, you have been talking about all those things and I have heard you, I understand all of your statement and everything. I am in agreement with you. But how do I achieve it? My mind, my antakarana is not trained for it. I can see my mother, I can see my father, I can see my wife, I can see my brother, I see my friends, I see man, I see woman. How do you say that I should have a samadarshitvam or I must see them all the same way? Or samabuddhi. How can I have a buddhi to my wife and my sister the same way? These natural questions will come to all of us. Practically, we are not able to do that. Krishna starts from the 10th verse onwards, the method in which we have to start practicing the sadhana in such a way that we become the jnani, the yogi, as described earlier with the samadarshittam or samabuddhittam. Toward that, he is now entering the 10th verse. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasistitaha ekaki yatachittatma nirashir aparigraha. Yogi. Yogi is a sadhaka, not a yuktaha or a jnani. So yogi, one who is wanting to become yuktaha, arurudha, or yogi. What is being advised? Yunjita means must yoke or must abide. Satatam, continuously. To the yukta state, he has to abide in the certain methods. Continuously. This is a sadhana which is being described by Krishna. Rahasi stita. Rahasi means solitude. Stitaha means remaining. Rahasi stita means dwelling in solitude or remaining in solitude. Ekaki, alone. Yata chittatma. Yata means yoked, which is the yunjita. The sat yata is the coming here also. Chittatma means chitta and atma. That atma is not the self. Here the atma is andakarana. Chitta is specifically mentioned by Krishna. Even though andakarana, atma is inclusive of mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, andakarana, he spells out chitta separately. Yata chittatma. That means the chitta of the andakarana has to be yoked. Where it is to be yoked, he will tell. Nirashi. How? Without desire. Because all desires is propping up from our memory, chitta. So only when the chitta is yukta, yata, chitta, atma, you can remain nirashi, without desire. And aparigraha. Graha means to grasp or to aggrandize. Pari means all around, means everything. We want everything to ourselves. That is the reason why we are so much active in the world. Anything and everything, if I can make it my own, I would be graduating. From a small piece of cloth as a loin cloth to the entire wardrobe or the entire country or entire, I can change every minute the dress. Anything and everything is desired by me. But when he says aparigraha means without accumulation and aggrandizing, should continuously remain. Yoke yourself in the atmanam yunjita satatam. In abiding in the self. The nature of the atma has been explained earlier. So yogi, one who is a sadhaka, qualified now being directly towards given the instruction by Krishna. Yunjita is a vidyartaka, vidhi. You should yoke, you should engage or you should apply. Satatam, continuously. Atmanam, oneself. That one's own self. Here, the antakarana equipped self being yoked to yoga. Rahasi, in solitude, in secret or in a secluded place, or to be alone or apart from the crowd. Rahasi sthita means being, abiding or dwelling in that place. Ekaki is a special word. One who is singularly one. Aloneness as inner and outer condition. Even when he is in a crowd, he should feel that he is alone. Because even though he is saying Rahasistita, you should go to a place which is solitude. 100% of the time you cannot remain in the state of solitude. For food and etc., the you have to come and in the society have your living and everything. But the ekaki, the eka plus akin pratyaya, it's a suffix. It is to ensure that the aloneness is an internal factor. Not that he is staying alone in a cliff top and not able to engage with anyone. Yatha chittatma, one whose chitta and antakarana are restrained or disciplined, which I told that. Nirashi, without desire. Aparigraha, without aggrandizing. Now, Rahasi Sthita, as per Shankaracharya, is not merely a physical quietude, but a place apart from the ordinary social, commercial, ritual world. Shankaracharya reads this as the first external condition required for Atma Yanjana, or for before you want to abide in yourself. Your antakarana will not abide in your true nature if your mind, antakarana, is socially, commercially engaged in the ritual world as a karta, as a doer of, because you have social responsibility, commercial responsibility, ritual responsibility, or every type of responsibility. And that responsibility is when you are assuming is your responsibility, then you need to be engaged in that. But when Krishna used the word Rahasi Sthita, while engaged in this activity, you have to be internally yoking yourself that Atma is the one which I am. The word Rahasi carries the sense of concealment, privacy or interiority. The place where outer world's claim do not operate or do not penetrate. Therefore, a Rahasi is where no obligation, no social role, no demand of Vyavahara reaches. This is necessary because Antakarana disperses through social engagement, even dharmic engagement. And for an Arurukshu or a Sadhaka, the preliminary stage requires withdrawal of the dispersal of the Antakarana toward the engagements. He is not telling to withdraw from the engagement. This is why the practicing of this is what will culminate in the Samabuddhi. Shankaracharya does not read Rahasi as a permanent physical hermitage of all yogins at all times, but as a required condition during the active practice period, Abhyasakale. The Yuktaha of 6.8 and 6.9, which we saw earlier, will move freely in the social world with Samabuddhi, the Yuktaha. But a yogin or a Arurukshu who is still building the foundation must first establish himself in this practice of engaging, at the same time reminding himself about his Atman or Brahman. It's a sadhaka stage. It's a stage where we are going towards a jnani. The next word, ekaki, means alone, singularly one or solitary. This is both the outer and inner aloneness. In the outer, no companions, no social company, no other person whose presence would draw the andakarana towards conversation, comparison, obligation, distraction. He will engage only as required, not prompted by the andakarana. See, the difference between the two is the required activity for the social living of the maintenance of the body. That interaction will continue. But there is no desire for the body to be maintained. Therefore, yadrischa alava santushta, the word which Krishna used earlier, will be the attitude with which the engagement in the outer world will take place. But what about the inner world? There is no inner company of desires, expectations, sankalpas pulling in multiple directions. It is not that you are sitting idle and in a cave or in a solitude place, but your mind is still in the world outside without, thinking about which you cannot leave for a moment. Then you are not ekaki. You are accompanied by all those thoughts. The ekaki is the one whose andakarana is unified in the number of companions, but in a singular interior orientation towards Atmajnana. The eka here is precisely what the yogin ultimately going to recognize as the nature of reality as eka also. Asupte amrite vedanta chindanam kuryat. There is a statement or there is a injunction. Until the time you sleep and until the time you breathe your last, think about Atman Brahman or remain in the thought of Atman Brahman. That is the ekaki who practices the outer solitude internal of preparation, and andakarana, inner ekatva, is remaining in the non-dual oneness of Atma or Brahman. Yata chittatma, this is what I told, that chitta is the memory storing or impression accumulating or reflective dimension of the andakarana. The deepest layer where impressions and latent tendencies, samskaras and vasanas are stored. Yatachitta means the chitta is not being fed new impression through the sensory engagement, social interactions or desire-driven activity. The accumulated vasana flow is being checked and stilled. Vasana nirodha. Or, the impulses are identified internally. When the impulse comes up in the mind, in the chitta, to the mind, to prompt a reaction, and the buddhi to instruct the instruments to function. This cycle is curtailed and stopped, checked at the time of when the latent tendencies arise, come to the mind. The intellect identifies it as the latent tendency and do not react to it. So that is the yoking, yata, yuktaha, what is being told about yata chittatma. Both at the deep mental and bodily vital dimensions where the reactions are shown. A restraint is being brought. That is the yuktaha. In the practice, it is yama, niyama, asana. All of those things will help you. The thing. It is the body should not become restless because of this restrainment. The stored impressional flow should be allowed to be disturbed in such a way that it is recognized at Antakarana level and is not allowed to disrupt the abidance in Atma. When the Vasana will come, because that is what is stored, it has no option but to prop up the tendencies. But identifying the tendency as identifying a tendency will make the tendency a non-reactive one. What are the type of tendencies which can be propped up? Asha, hope, desire, expectation towards even Brahma Sakshatkara. That is also a Asha. Nirasi is one whom the future-oriented anticipatory mental movement is subdued or subsided. Anashrita karma phalam. The first verse we studied that. And sarva sankalpa varjita. The yogi who sits for dhyana with the expectation of a particular experience, a vision, a samadhi, a feeling of peace or confirmation of progress, has already introduced sankalpa into practice. These sankalpa vikara, which will distort our atma abidance, should be identified and should not be encouraged. Because expectation for a vision or a state of samadhi, that nirvikalpa samadhi, or feeling of peace or confirmation of progress that I have now progressed in my spiritual sadhana, etc. Everything which is happening as a sankalpa, vritti, comes under the asha category. Nirashi does not mean the yogi has no intention to practice atmajnana. Atmanam yunjita, by Krishna when he said it, is itself a vidhi or an injunction with an intention to abide in Atma. It's a asha. So it is not that he doesn't have it. It means that he practices without appending a desired result to the practice. Anashrita karma phalam. He does the karma of yoga, but he is not having no expectation out of yoga. Without the subtle form of karma phala, asakti, that would make the practice itself another fruit-seeking transaction. Shankaracharya is noting that this is among the most difficult qualifications to genuinely fulfill. Because the desire for liberation itself, mumukshutva, is an asha, is a hope directed toward the future state. The Nirashi is one who has arrived at the point where even this most refined desire has subsided into a present moment of engagement with the practice, realizing that I am already that. So there is no asha for him that in future I will become Brahman or Atman, or I am making progress. So the Nirasha is 100% complete only when he realizes that what I have been earning to achieve as Atmajnana, Brahmajnana or Jnana the jnana vijnana, is my own nature. I am not in a place where I have to go and achieve something or I have to do some activity and achieve. All the sadhanas end in the realization that there is nothing to be realized. Then aparigraha. Graha means grasping. Pari means complete, outer condition or inner condition. Totality. Totality of possessions. Aparigraha is one who is absenting from that. The Shankaracharya reads that aparigraha at the deepest level. Absence of mama bhava. That mindness. That constitutes the fundamental transaction of I am the enjoyer, I am the doer. That I amness is the one who grasps and accumulates. And it is the bhokta in the full extension reaching out for all directions for claiming the world. But when you become aparigraha, undoing this fundamental gesture of reaching out everywhere for all those things, he is opening his grasping hand so that nothing is held in mind. And how can he achieve that? Yunjita. Yunjita means yoke yourself. Where? Satadam Atmanam. Continuously in the Atma. Atma Jnana. Atma Chinta. Atma Darshana. Darshana, Shravana, Manana. Everything where it is only Atma. The empirical self, the Antakarana, is the one where the Atma Jnana has to arise. Therefore, the Antakarana with its all faculties needs to be ever free in the pure Atman. But it is the Chitta, mind, Buddhi, Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta complex, which wanders and requires the discipline of Yunjana. When the mind doesn't wander, the Buddhi doesn't waver, and Ahankara doesn't have the role to play of mine or otherness. And the memories which are coming up is seen as past foolishness accumulated due to avidya. The same Antakarana is now continuously working towards or continuously in the jnana of Atma. Therefore, Sadadam as pointing towards Nididhyasana that follows Shravana and Manana sustained by unbroken contemplation of Atma Vidyara or Atma Swarupa. It is not a intermittent practice or a temporary thing that I am doing sadhana. I am doing Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana for next 1 hour. And the rest of the 23 hours we are in our own Antakarana with all the samskaras. Because the Antakarana's Vasana momentum is so powerful, it requires sustained counter pressure to direct towards Atman. Therefore, Sadadam is the acknowledgement of this reality. The sadhana must be total and continuous, not partial and occasional. With this Vidivakya from Krishna that it is a continuous aspect of engaging in the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana as a continuity. Because Sadhatam is critical. Nididhyasana is not a session within a day, but a continuous background orientation of the Antakarana all the time. Asupte Amritam Kalam. till you fall asleep and till you fall dead. While the body performs the Swadharma, even while the senses engage in the objects, even while the mind processes the ordinary experience, the deep undercurrent of the Antakarana remains oriented towards Atma, like a river that continues to flow toward the sea, even as it passes through the multiple landscapes of different type. Its orientation is only towards reaching the sea. This is the yoga Advaita is talking about as a most practical. It's not a technique performed at a fixed time, but a total orientation of the Antakarna towards its own ground, Atma Swarupa. We'll stop here. And the next verse is a continuation from the 10th, which we'll take it on Monday, where Krishna says that what is the Shuchau Deshe Pradishtaya Sthiramasanam Apmanaha Nachitridam Nachinidam Chaila Jana Kushottaram. How the meditation or how the practice has to be done when you begin the sadhana. He is taking us from the beginning when we do not know even what is a dhyana or a meditation. That is starting from the next verse, which we will see on Monday. Or not Monday, next Tuesday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad. If you have any questions or clarification required, the hand raising is open. You can come up.
Pranam, sir.
Pranam,
Uh,
Kritar.
Yeah.
Yes, Kritar.
I want to have this clarification between these two statements. As you mentioned, I am already that. So the
Yes.
sense of time is eradicated in this sense, but like this aspect of I am that. So there is a kind of a sense of appearance of duality into it. Like how to see both of this in a like just a clarification needed in this sense. And one more thing, if some okay. So these two statements. First, I am
Your
that, and
signal
this
is not correct. Breaking.
am I audible?
To answer your this thing, there is no duality. There is no time. But the time is there when we are beginning our sadhana. As a you are breaking. Can you hear me? Otherwise you can go out and come again, join again. Atul, you can go ahead with your question.
Sure, Dhananjay. First of all, thank you for
Namaste,
the
Atul.
clarification. Yeah. So, so I have just one question. When you said first we need to abide in that for particular timings, then that will automatically continue in our daily life, and it will like it will become the autonomous, right? Abidance.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Bengali.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't hear your question. Atul, go ahead.
Timings. After that, it will become autonomous. Like, for example, if I give you the driving, right? First, we need to learn the driving process by full attention. But after that, after learning that, that driving becomes autonomous, right? So,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. That is exactly what is being integrated. Right? Even if bicycle, you can leave both your hands and still you can do the cycle. Something like that, you know the balancing. So the balancing between Vyavahara and Paramarthika will become easy for a Samabuddhi yogi. I mean, who have become a Yukta.
correct. So, that is the practice, right?
Yes,
But also we need a jnana for that to see that everything is just Brahman and we are just abiding our mind into that consciousness which is already that.
yes, that's right. Everything is Brahman, and in the same mind only we will be able to remain abiding in Brahman, that I am Brahman and everything else is Brahman. There is nothing different. What is being done is a Vyavaharika appearance because of the Jagrat Swapna Sushupti of the consciousness. The consciousness is the one which is creating Jagrat Swapna Sushupti. The same Jagrat Swapna Sushupti will continue, but my knowledge in the waking will be helping me that being a waker, I am not affected by the waker. Patmapatram ivambasa, like a lotus leaf in the water. I will be in the waking state. I will not be affected, but I will also have no, desire to hold things or desire to aggrandize things. I have no love, no hatred. I will be, equanimous, samabuddhi all the time.
Correct, Binduji. So it is not like we need to
Okay.
live 24/7 like thoughtless, but it is like more like seeing the things as it is, right?
Some, some,
Binduji,
or
your
the
voice is
different.
breaking.
It is, yeah, there is some problem with the net.
Okay, yeah, please continue.
Yes, there is some problem with the network. So I'm thinking whether can we have these questions on Tuesday? Please come up and ask me questions on Tuesday rather than wasting all others' time.
I think now it's very
Okay?
clear sound. Yeah, you can continue if you want, but we can do also on Tuesday if you wish.
Yeah. Sachidananda is coming. Let me see. Namaste, Sachidananda. Hari Om. Can you hear me?
Sachidanand, your mic is on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't notice it. Yeah, Namaste
Yeah.
Binduji, how are you?
Namaste. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so I had a clarification on the statement you made about you know a, basically a realized person it doesn't see a difference between the mother and somebody if they have murdered your mother. So in that particular case, is it that the realized person sees that I mean, it is not that that person doesn't feel pain or of that thing happening, right? It is more of when beyond that, when the person sees it, it's that they see that as they are both, as you said, like they are
Nijaswarupa is the Atma, and the Atma is the same between those two persons. So he doesn't see the person who killed as an accused, and as somebody who has to be treated differently. Is that correct, or am I missing anything there?
Actually speaking, what we have to understand that is that he has two aspects. From the other's point of view, he is a part of the waking and performing as a waker along with others. For example, assume you are the jnani and we are all there. For us, you will be seen as an ordinary person, Sachidananda, among all of us. But your attitude towards that is that you have abiding yourself, you know you are Atman Brahman. And these things like waking, dream and deep sleep are nothing but the same consciousness appearing in the multiple forms as the nature of the swabhava of the consciousness. And they are not separate from that. So what happens is that the knowledge of Sachidananda Satnyani is to see it as an appearance of things happening. But for Atul, Venkat, myself or yours, others in this group, we will be seeing you as an ordinary human being, and because we are all still in the waking. The knowledge is yours, internal or antakarana. It's a internal, what you call it. You cannot say internal. That is the only reality.
Yeah.
But if from the experiential point of view, your knowledge of that truth, that Atman or Brahman is the only reality, everything is nothing but a nature of awareness appearing as waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. So the waker and the waking world, whatever is happening will continue to happen, but you are not the one who is acting there because you are not the waker. Because the waker has realized he is not the waker, he is a Atma Swarupa. Right.
So the Gnani is so much. He is all the time he's so into the Atma Sakshatkara that he doesn't see any other state, that the difference between the waking, deep sleep and the dream. So any events happening in those are also doesn't different. Hello.
Body-mind complex of the waking. Because he's knowing that the body-mind complex is the nature of awareness, knowing a body, mind and complex. Because I know my body, I know my mind, I know my intellect, I know the world. So I am the knower of all those things. So how can I be the known of the body, mind, intellect? I am separate from Tebyo Vilakshana Sakshi. I am that Chit Matra, that is the pure consciousness, which is aware of the nature of the waker, waking dream and everything. So once when I abide myself in that state, I do not identify myself as the body, mind, intellect, which I call as Bindo in the waking. That continues as a waker in the waking world and is interacting with everyone. It is doing what is supposed to be doing in the waking world. Supposed to be doing means that is what the nature of the awareness which it projected. So it is continuing to project and continuing to act in that one. The time continuing is also a wrong usage because it is not in time that these things are happening. Even time is creation of the consciousness. So that can be seen, known or practiced only once you detach your identification with the body-mind complex. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, you are not the part of the world, you are not even Satchidananda. You are Atma Swarupa.
Hmm.
Tattvamasi.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vinod.
Thank you, Satchidananda. So namaste everyone. Thank you being there. I think Atul and Kritarth, I think both of your network was giving trouble because with Satchidananda I had no issues. So definitely both of you can come on Tuesday and we will take up your questions on Tuesday because the
Will
same subject is being continued. Yes, Atul. Thank you. Welcome. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you all. Hari Om. See you on Tuesday. We'll continue on the 11th verse onward. Hari Om. Good night. Good day.
Very